It was exactly what I feared it was going to be after the Chelsea performance, which was so good and so positive and so aggressive and so full of energy. And I just was like, that was why I was really annoyed when we didn't get the win, because I was like, I know what's going to happen now. We're going to rock up to Old Trafford when they haven't got Bruno Fernandes, they haven't got all their AFCON players, and we're going to drop an absolutely useless performance. And it started so slow and lethargic, and I was screaming at the TV. I was so annoyed because I knew that this was what was going to happen, because you can't just go from hitting those such high levels to then totally dropping off. And it's exactly what happened. And look, yes, then the second half, yep, totally dominated. But what did the goalkeeper have to do? What did Lamens actually have to do? Apart from, I think he made a really easy save from a Joe Linton shot that rolled straight at him. And there was a Joe Linton header that went straight at him as well. That was it. Yeah, loads of possession. Hall hit the crossbar. That was unlucky. But it wasn't a chance per se. A shot from the edge of the box, not necessarily a chance. We didn't create anything. Not really clear cut. So it was extremely disappointing, to be honest, Sean. And it's just kind of sums up our season, whereby we go from the highs of a top performance to immediately just the lows of just a nothing display, really.
There was a lot of possession and very little sort of direct chances, wasn't there? And we talked before about how Newcastle can be very good at this sometimes, keeping the ball. It's all very, very nice, but the cutting edge seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think when we go behind, you almost kind of, this season, you almost kind of accept that we've lost. We've not picked up any points from losing positions this season. And then
Nope.
when you factor in the fact that we've then dropped 13 points from winning positions, it's a bad, bad combination at this moment in time. Really, really struggling either when we take the lead or when we go behind. Look, again, that Manchester United team is not very good. It is not very good. I know going to Old Trafford's always been traditionally hard for Newcastle and what have you, but we did get that monkey off the back with the league win last season there. And they didn't have Bruno Fernandes. They didn't have their AFCON players. And I just think that it was there to be, go there and win. Go there and win. Put in a good performance. Go there and win. They're not. They're pretty poor. I'm pretty sure inside the Devils will say the same thing, that they were clinging on. They put everyone behind the ball in the second half, but ultimately it was just pretty bad crosses in the box the whole time. No real service for Waldemar. Gordon had a decent opportunity where we finally played some football around the edge of the box. He should have probably scored when he dragged it wide. And then there was another one where he fired it miles over the bar as well. And apart from that, there just wasn't anything to get excited about. It was loads of slow passing, loads of slow possession. And it just sort of felt inevitable from when they scored that first goal. It was like, well, I don't really know. I don't think I'm going to get back in this.
There's a lot of focus being on the wingers, hasn't there? I'm noticing a lot about on social media that's where the concentration is. Gordon's coming in for quite a lot of stick, very few chances created, no goals, etc. And he's struggling. There's no doubt about it.
He really is. Gordon is a player who we've spoke about a lot on this show. A lot of times we have given conversation to Anthony Gordon, and it seemed like for a moment it looked like he was getting back to his best a couple of weeks ago, but then the Sunderland performance, he was one of the worst players on the pitch. I know not many players can actually hold their head high with that one. Against Chelsea first half, he was electric. He was so good. This is the Anthony Gordon that we want to see. Cutting inside, delivering some brilliant crosses, got an assist, should have had another assist with the Waldemar chance for the hat-trick that he put wide. And then he turns up at Old Trafford, and he's against Dalot. I mean, he's pretty average, Dalot, to be honest. And I don't think he did enough. I don't think he did enough at all. And I think with his shots he had as well, should have almost certainly done better with those. I think the one where Murphy played him in down the right-hand side and he dragged it wide, I would expect him to score that, to be honest, because the angle was decent. But he hasn't scored a non-penalty Premier League goal since January. He's scored penalties. Yeah, fair enough. And we need someone to stick away the penalties, fair play. But, we need more from him. It's as simple as that. I've said it numerous times, need more from him. Harvey Barnes, at the moment, for me, would be the man who should be starting, I think, because Barnes, it does create chances. He does score goals. He does deliver more. And Gordon is not doing that this moment in time. And it's a real, real annoyance for me, because this is a guy who starts for England and wants to be starting at the World Cup. You cannot start for England at the World Cup. You can't if you're delivering these sort of performances week in, week out that aren't good enough for your club. And he's right to expect more. I think we're all right to expect more from Gordon.
let alone starting at the World Cup. I don't think he'll be going to the World Cup, to be honest, in the form he's in at the moment. I think you're a little bit harsh on Dalot, actually. He's been one of Man United's best players recently. But
Yeah, but that tells it all. That says it all. If he's one
yes,
of their best
absolutely it
players,
was, yeah.
that says it all, right? He's not very good. The Man United fans have been complaining about him for a long time. They like that almost sums up where the state of the club is at. That he's one of their better players.
And they've got nothing up front either, Man U. So it wasn't like we had anything to worry about, really. I felt we could have got better on the front foot, and this is one of the criticisms of Eddie Howe, is that safety first, maybe he'd have been very, very happy to come away with a point. We might have accepted that. But if we've got any ambition, we need to actually be winning what is a bad Manchester United side. Actually, after Sunderland, I got quite enthused again. Carabao Cup made me feel a bit better when we beat Fulham. We were great, as you say, in the first half against Chelsea. Yeah, we got pegged back, but there was a lot to be excited about.
Absolutely, honestly, yeah. I mean, as you say, Manchester United have got nothing up front of it. It took Dorgu to score a goal. So
it's a good goal, though, to be fair.
It was a good goal. It was a good goal. I know. I saw some argument.
Ramsdale questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think once he gets a hand to it, you want him to save it. Equally, I do think it was a good strike, and I don't know. Sometimes he might be. I think we're maybe judging him a little bit harshly over it. He couldn't see it necessarily until the end either. I think the argument for Ramsdale one is once he gets a hand to it, you do want him to probably stop it. But then I felt sorry for Waldemar. I felt so sorry for Waldemar because against Chelsea, Newcastle delivered the ball into him and he had 3 chances to score a goal. He scored 2. He probably should have scored his first hat-trick, his first senior hat-trick it would have been. But, we have to create some opportunities for him. What on earth did he have to go off on Boxing Day? There was just nothing. And then then I thought maybe bring Visser on with him. I'd like to see them two play with him, but instead it was Waldemar came off. Visser came on.
But we don't
and again,
seem to want to do
either.
that. We don't seem to want to play the two of them together up front, and it might be very old school, but could you go back to 4-4-2? Play the two of them up front and try that. Not many teams play it, but what about it?
Yeah, not many teams play a front two, but there are a few around Europe that do, and it works really well. I mean, I was watching Inter Milan last night, and Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. I'm not saying Visser and Waldemar are going to be like them, but they work it really well. There is a potential to do it. I would say it more a case of Waldemar would probably be a little bit deeper, and Visser would be up front. But I do think we should try at some point. I think there's pointless spending, over £100 million on 2 strikers if they're not going to both be involved in games regularly. I think that you're in a bit of a pickle there, to be fair. So for me, I feel like I would like to see them. And Burnley away, is that an opportunity to do it? Potentially. Maybe Bournemouth in the FA Cup is more so of an opportunity to do it. But at some point, the handbrake has got to be taken off away from home because we've won once away from home.
You are missing the best excuse of them all, of course, is it was Boxing Day, and we never do well on Boxing Day.
No, our Boxing Day record is terrible. I saw that.
25 times in the Premier League we played on Boxing Day, and we've lost 16. So there you are. That's the real reason, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just blame it on Boxing Day. I mean, and don't get us wrong, our record at Old Trafford's not very good, but I just don't. Manchester United are not the team they used to be. Going to Old Trafford is not scary. It's not. Most teams turn up there and win these days. So it was disappointing for me that we didn't go there and win. Never mind draw. We should be going there and winning.